Lana Ayers, and along with Michael Dillon Welch, I help to host this reading series. Thank you for coming out tonight. We have two incredible featured readers. And I'm going to do a little something different tonight, which is I'm going to start with a poem by Margaret Atwood. And she's a rather well-known fiction writer, but she also writes poetry as well. And so this is one of hers. And I don't know, it might have some bearing on the two featured poets tonight. We'll see. It's called The Poet Has Come Back by Margaret Atwood. The poet has come back to being a poet after decades of being virtuous instead. Can't you be both? No, not in public. You could once, back when God was still a thundering vengeance and liked the scent of blood and hadn't got around to slippery forgiveness. Then you could scatter incense and praise and wear your snake necklace and hymn the crushed skulls of your enemies to a pious chorus. No deferential smiling, no baking of cookies. No, I'm a nice person, really. Welcome back, my dear. Time to resume the vigil. Time to unlock the cellar door. Time to remind ourselves that the God of poets has two hands, the dexterous, the sinister. Who knows? Maybe we'll get both tonight. I don't know. That's Margaret Atwood. So our wonderful featured poets tonight are Brendan McBreen and Lisa Schmidt. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about both of these poets. Brendan McBreen is a member of Auburn's Striped Water Poets. He's been published in various places, including Leading Edge, Bellowing Ark, Bottle Rockets, Origami Condom, and Crab Creek Review. Brendan enjoys haiku, surrealism, cats, teriyaki, is an artist, has a collection of crow feathers, stuffed lions, and plastic aquarium plants, but no aquarium. Poetry should inspire and challenge the imagination, says Brendan, and I think you'll see that tonight. Brendan's poetry is often influenced by dreams in all their varied forms and sometimes influenced by reality, but not often. Currently pursuing a degree in psychology at the University of Phoenix. And our second poet this evening is Lisa Schmidt. She lives in Federal Way, where she works as an orchestra teacher and a violist. Much of her poetry is influenced by her love of the natural world and of the Pacific Northwest in particular. Her poems can be found in recent issues of Avocet, Windfall, Quarterly West, the Evansville Review, and the Bitter Oleander. She was awarded second place in the 2009 King County Library's annual poetry contest. And so that's the official bios, and I just want to say a little personal note about both of our readers. Brendan McBreen is one of the Striped Water Poets, and it's a workshop group in Auburn that meets every week on Tuesday nights, open to the public. People come in, they stay for years, like me. I've been in the group a very long time, and it's like my family now. And Brendan's kind of like, one of my immediate family, so it's a real delight to have him here. And Lisa is one of the newer Striped Water Poets in the scheme of things, but she is just a fabulous voice, and it's always, always wonderful for me to hear her new poems when I get to go to the group and we're both there at the same time, which doesn't happen often enough anymore. So these are our two wonderful poets, and it really is a delight for me to have them because they're like family. So please welcome our first poet, Brendan McBreen.
Hello. To begin with, I would like to point out that the word monosyllabic is actually a 5-syllable word. Hello? Testing? All right. And this is the first poem I ever read at SoulFood, so you might have heard it. Can you? How about now? All right. Alive. All we are is ice, as though millions of tiny water molecules converge with the urge to make the world whole again. Was it God, or were there many gods, all floating as if gravity itself were turned off? Should we believe all to be created was once water, frozen to itself, showing us the way through time? It would be a pity if God or the gods themselves didn't know what it was all about. Can water be our future? Can ice? Or just cubes to be placed in our longing cups? Even the plague sometimes gets the plague. In high school, this guy with a horrible mustache asked me if a friend was having her period. That's the title. What the fuck business is it of yours, I thought. I don't know, I said. Because, she didn't talk to me in math this morning, so I thought that might be it. She doesn't like you. Have you considered that? I thought. I heard her talk about being in his house with some friends, how he drank huge gulps of milk from the carton, belched, wiped his mouth on his hand. Later, he grabbed her hair and tried to kiss her. She pushed him away. He mentioned it in gym, said she was all over him. She kissed him. It was only a matter of time before she goes all the way. I saw her in history. Something was wrong. In the hallway, I heard her talking to another girl. Her sister was in the hospital, a car accident. They hugged, both crying. Plant everything that hurts. The earth will forgive you. I offer my pound of flesh wherever I go. There have been no takers so far. In the season when rain is the way of things, the sky is not always gray, but sometimes full of seagulls. Wings spread wide, completely still, as wind transforms gray theologies around them. Cries linger, few by few they fall away, until the last one becomes the North Star. This is where I orbit, offering broken bits of myself to any soggy seagull I meet. The emergent behavior of flight, or dance of fish evading a quick stab to their center. I think I will read today about space, about astronauts and space shuttles, the emergent behavior of man when an asteroid or an oil spill strikes our center. Only a small blemish on an otherwise perfect mess. The wind is a goddess whose name is 1,000 syllables long and begins with the first 3 words spoken by the infant Prometheus. She speaks in a language of isotopes, tells me of the stratosphere and its dreams. At dawn, birds make nests out of day. Chop. Don't cry. Tomorrow will come. Chop. Add grief for flavor. Carry it in your veins. Mix in basil and cilantro. Hide your face when he looks at you. Bring it to a boil. Let it roll inside you. Burst and churn. Let your whole being swell, explode, sear and scald everything that gets too close. Then let it simmer and clean up the mess. I left a basket of crow feathers on your porch this morning. Dawn shined through me and filled my hollow soul with footprints. I'd forgotten how to hold you. The title of this poem is a quote from Albert Einstein. I feel like an egg, feeling its way toward light, a mole inventing earth, one little crab so far from the sea. Struggling up a rock mossy shore, I have to let go of what I hold on to, what holds me. It can't be defined until it's gone. This is a haibun of a sort. And if you want to know what that is, ask Michael Welch whenever you see him. Later, I told you about trying to kill myself. I saw you sleeping. I laid awake trying to burn your image into my consciousness. 4 a.m. world, your face, all I know. Then, your eyes. Everything I thought I knew crumbled when you opened your eyes. On a mountain with limestone hills all around being erased in mist, I was dressed in white. There was a woman dressed the same. We were practicing kung fu. I was clumsy and winded. I stopped to watch the woman. There was a stillness in her movements. She was agile and graceful. The mist was closing in. Now I am this woman in the desert, but dust blowing my face, struggling past dunes, so hot, thirsty, I can't go on. Then blood-red cliffs appear. In their shade, I smell water, follow the scent. There is an open space with the granite wall and stairs leading up along the steps like handrails. There are drainage grooves. At top, carved in stone, is a lion's face. Left and right are metal spouts. As I approach, water splashes out from them and from the lion's mouth. I drink from the left. It tastes old and stale. The water from the lion pushes sand down the steps. I drink from the right. It's fresh, and I wash my face. Then the lion's eyes open, and I know these eyes. They're yours. And this is a quote from Yehuda Amichai. Make your pain an image of the desert. In the desert, warm steel pressure contours the green of my veins. At her birthday, my niece kisses the owie on my wrist. In the apple's womb, we are all saints. Well, not me, I'm a Seahawks fan. The inevitable has a way of happening. Like when you're falling, the ground getting bigger and bigger and bigger, then the tide comes in. Stems from cells reach into a spider's tangled web of need. Event horizons reflect what is consumed within. The spider dislodges a seed in the men's silk. This is called Imagine Me a Stranger, and it has a epigraph from Albert Einstein. I consider myself to be a stranger everywhere. Imagine the wave, center it in a spherical lake, standing in free space. Waves of electrons collide with paper swans, ripple to the outer edge of time. How could I tell you I want to be a woman? I want to be a swan, rose print paper, petals scattered, some on fire. I want to fold myself into myself. Moonlight in the lines of your eyes. I think of you in summer when the moon is in full bloom and cicadas are dying. I could write a poem today about rain or the call of mating locomotives. I could write it in iambic pentameter or as a pantoum. I could write a poem about silence, about you when you sneeze, and the whole room gets brighter. I could write a poem, but today and all other days are just not the same without you. When life gives you lemons, the grass is greener, keeping the doctor away. The mice will make mountains out of the frying pan into a gift horse's mouth, but don't cry over all the tea in China. Because the bigger they are in glass houses, the harder they fly a kite without a paddle until the cows come home in sheep's clothing. Remember, measure twice, die by the sword, and when in doubt, panic. I'm told procrastinators do not die. They just keep putting it off. A good procrastinator might live forever. I've only met one other person better at procrastination. She was 38 at the time and still waiting to be born. I have to warn you, this is not a good poem. Yes. This is a bad poem. This poem is mean to puppies. This poem catches flies and puts them in spiders' webs. This poem trips people, glues quarters to the floor, laughs when they try and pick them up. This poem is unruly. It heckles other poems. This poem is not a good role model. This poem drinks, smokes, hangs out in tattoo parlors on the mean side of the tracks. This poem frightens the elderly, laughs at others' misfortune. This is a bad poem. Once, in grade school, this poem beat up that slow kid and took his lunch money. Things have only gone downhill since. This poem is packing. It's a rough neighborhood. This is a rough poem. Sometimes this poem deals pot and rolls junkies and drunks. A good poem wouldn't do such things. This poem is a loner. No need for influences. Keats, Nash, Kipling, McClure. This poem is self-sufficient. This poem is proud. Someday, this poem will be shot down on the street. But today, no one messes with this poem. This is a bad poem. This is called Morning Wood. Get your minds out of the gutter. Morning Wood. I have better things to do with my mornings than standing on my head to pee. All right. And the last section of poems I'm going to read is from a new series I'm working on. It's called Fountains of the Imagination, and it's a response to Lawrence Ferlinghetti's A Coney Island of the Mind. And I have numbers of different sections here. This is number 6. O great and powerful Oz, bless this bounty we are about to receive and give us strength to smite the neighbors whom we love. Forgive us our sins and burn those non-believers in hell. Roast them alive with searing maggots, eating eyes and entrails until they learn that you are the one true God, God of love and of peace. 9. So this girl says to me, honey, you and me could really exist. She has bad teeth and hates poetry, but I think she's talking about sex, so I say sure. In the morning, she rolls over and says, "You know, you are one papish cat." I say, "Yeah, I like cats." But I'm thinking, is she trying to say I'm full of shit? Does she think I'm the Pope, or maybe she thinks the Pope's full of shit? "I like cats," I say as I finish getting dressed and walk out the door. Then I remember, this is my door. "10. This is my door. Guard it well. This is my door where beauty lives, naked and sleeping on the other side. This is my door, where beauty sleeps, lying hurt, vulnerable, and naked on the other side. Hold her like a baby bird, ready almost for first flight." And 11. Birds with sacred names spiral and weave unseen tapestries of air in the night, in the dark, dark night. Birds with unseen names weave sacred symbols in the dark. And I am an echo, breathing in the night, exhaling suns and too many stars to count by candlelight. I am an echo counting birds by candlelight as they unweave tapestries of night in the dark, 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 dark. "15. We mosaic-minded mammals call it God. But there is no God in this machine, only flesh and waves of tangled space and time. We are all acrobats, waiting for the empty air of existence to let loose, so we may flail and fall before we again rise." "17. Notice I'm not really going in order. We would sacrifice our eyes for the love of Medusa, our skin to the passion of Kali. I have stood inside the drawings on rocks, a petroglyph looking up. In their eyes I have seen time as it once was, hidden doorways through skin, some call home, others hell. Within the earth, Medusa molts." Oh, I guess I am going in order. 18. Belief in the future, belief in now, belief in science, humanity, in goodness, in truth, in the mirror, in rabbit holes. You are my minotaur. I, your labyrinth. We lose pieces of ourselves each time the moon falls from the sky. And wouldn't you know it, 19. I fell in love with unreality when reality became too unreal to bear, because not yelling frightens me more, because being haunted is never a choice. 23. Stern faces on imaginary bumper stickers shout, "No history, no future." We see cracks in the fabric we call ourselves, as every generation before has seen before looking away. And 3 more. 26. Asphalt screams, asphalt dreams. I create myself again in spasms of moonlight. The world saunters by, but I, seeing only the sky in which I fly, leave without acknowledging any world at all. This makes the world angry and sullen. 27. We are all beginning and all falling toward flight. In the light where stars stream answers unseen, sitar dreams shimmer in lightning crowds of gnats and fleas. How in this world of strangled dreams do dreams keep their wings? I know only that they do. And this is my soul food poem. and the last one tonight. And Fountains of the Imagination, Part 13, with a brief epigraph from Ursula Le Guin. Belief in punishment is punishment. Belief in sin is sin. The only God is the God imagination. We are all her acolytes, in this bone and cellular temple. In the air we fly free because she is flight. We are free from the hell and hierarchy doubters call faith, free and swimming through mitochondrial imagination. Science is beauty. Biology is beauty. Brain cells are beautiful. I want to sing for you a molecular love song where wolves chase through misty woods, and the ocean and the waves and the sky and the stars and the mind are all there is. Thank you. And Lisa is the only hummingbird I know who knows the words. Her poems are earthy and layered, and in each substrata there's always some new treasure to find. So, Lisa.
Better with a stand here. All right. Can you hear me okay? Great. All right. Well, thank you for being here, and thanks to SoulFood Books for hosting us, and thank you, Brendan, wherever you went, for having me as your sidekick tonight. The first poem I'm going to read is called Aurora over Mount Rainier, and in 2000 I went up to sunrise on Mount Rainier to watch the Perseid meteor shower, which was really lovely until the aurora came and just completely stole the show. And 3 years ago, when I started writing poetry, at first I thought I should just write about beautiful events, and so writing about that aurora was one of my very first poems. Aurora over Mount Rainier. Busy, iridescent waves shimmer in the long rays of the stretching sun, rolling fresh coats of green over the great blue-black, now teasing toes and stone-skipping across the tops of alpine fir. This rogue tide comes in from the north, rare as a green flash, pulsing on and on. Ascending from Camp Sherman, awed climbers turn from their efforts to nod their puny headlamps at the lord of the dance that lights beneath their feet, and flickers and lights and flickers, untamed by the piercings of ice axe and crampons. I ponder this mystery, as deep as that of St. Elmo's fire that sometimes ignites above steamboat prow, and native beliefs that these lights were souls of ancestors, voices of gods, spirits to be freed, or spirits to be feared. And my mind fills with gratitude for living in this enlightened age, when we all know that this aurora is merely the reaction of sun with atmosphere, as God turns between fingers his gleaming gem over and over and over again. This next poem is not based on a true story, however, it could have been. It's called DUI. Steering mainly with one knee, whipping away from the crazy course of curbs, veering wildly around tachycardic dogs and cats, I screech to momentary safety at a red light out of the clear green sky. I wait, enraptured by the beauty of light that lies beyond gray pavement. But when lights from behind summon me aside, and I am asked whether I'm under the influence, the revelation of my indignant response surprises me. Why, of course not, officer. I was only writing poetry. Could happen someday. Is being. Being without brain, the riverside cedar steps neither nearer nor farther from season's changing volume. Being without brain, she knows what's right sounds too high, what's left too low, the perfect balance of her trunk. Being without brain, the cedar lives, feeling no limbs downstream nor gathering winds. Being without brain, she comprehends relativity of equality, and so stands still to gather only those stones at her roots and stars at rest in her arms. Being without brain, she understands creation at her roots, knows the is of this, and exists with only the now of knowledge. The end of strawberry season. For a time, you wind with this road, this way of horse-drawn carriages that paralleled the green river, cutting farmlands where strawberries once grew. Leaves the wrong shade have already been pulled in favor of cattle soon to be slaughtered for housing. Speeding past tractors moving too near the ditch, you cross unseen springs that split walls to the river, pass hidden trout and salmon beyond the shelter of firs, and fly below killdeer and hawks unheard over your drone. Looking to nothing that shares your position, you judge only your closeness to taillights. The speed of your wind twists Eden into need of something greener outside these fences. Starlight squinting through fog foresees your wreckage inside barbed wire, where corn crops through your windshield and the last strawberry ripens in your wide open mouth. You long for a tongue, for a throat to sing of succulence, for the coolness warm clods burst between your toes. Art glass. From foam's disintegration, letters of my name take shape in a roundness protruding depths, waves remaining spheres remembering sunset's colors until filled to bursting. In this softened world, what I see I know can cut, and what I don't see does. My name spelled in colored glass never anneals into cathedral windows, but remains afloat underfoot, and as fragile as if never broken. The next poem talks about an event that occurred in Hell's Canyon in 1887, and it was a massacre of about 30 Chinese miners, and I didn't know anything about it until Peter Ludwin recently wrote some really amazing poems about the event that really made me care about it. So this is called Wallowa Valley. Wallowa gold looked white in eyes blind to fire hooves branded into day's closing sky. Gone the way of wild horses, Nez Perce carved an iron-red trail through homeland canyons crumbling into exile, before Chinese miners reddened the Snake River, balancing blood with white gunpowder and lead. Only winter wheat now pans the wind. By year's end, snow will have cached flakes under bones of cottonwood and larch, and no one will know the way home. Blue butterfly. Silken by the creek, a buttercup magnified the sun's melting warmth overflowing its open hand. Spillage eddied between the ridges of my fingertips before I licked them clean and kissed my print into clouds gathering my breath against the blue. Outside's white hatched a swarm of butterflies, inner blue seen only with wings exposed to light. Then I closed my fist around the buttercup and closed my mouth around my dry tongue, losing to the wind the whisper of my lobed wings, hushing the pulse of my counterpoint to rocks beneath the water, until the coolness of summer mud took my breath away. Next, I have two really short poems, and the first is called Effigy. A firefly lights upon the old stone fence, a faint echo of lake's beveled edge, where dulled gneiss slices the reflection of my own warm pulse from the flood of all night's little suns. And since the next short poem was really just something that I heard somewhere, I suppose that makes it a found poem, and it's called To Keep Time. Before leaving with empty ice chest, I asked the young boy on the pier, what time was it when the fish were biting so strong? The boy mused, it was just after the clouds became a bluish gray with some white. I just thought that was such a cool way of telling time. Engulf. It lingers here but briefly at morning water's edge, splaying rays that perfectly embrace thirsty limbs of oak and madrona. It holds the same droplets as those that hold a sunfish underwater. Breath swims by, now fading my picture of a flat sepia world gilded with gold leaf. For summer lavishes upon us, purple velvet iris no longer. Just yesterday, we strolled low tide, hand in hand with fog, in the same way we spooned with the moonlight last night. We watched two otters sleep palm to palm to avoid drifting apart when met by the edge of the earth. How many fallen leaves, palms open, were swept away by the hands that measured yesterday. As did the tide, the leaves returned to this place you never left. Okay, the next poem is, I tend to save a lot of voicemail messages. I'm not sure, I don't need all of them, but I'm really glad that I do because I still have this message. It's called Cleaning Out Voicemail. It's a 2-year-old message from Dad just to tell me he was missing my little girl ponytails and big brown eyes helping him gather firewood. His final words, see ya later, clear the drone of the chainsaw, echo against the empty hillside, and tumble with the creek down creviced cheeks. Fur wafts through the receiver before a voice advises to contact the caller, press 88. I reach through warm, moist sawdust, tremble over 7, hover above 8, and finally press 9. There, saved. Moonrise. Time is not enough before milk spills through spattered depths to penetrate just the lip of this pond's stirred surface, where light skips, scribbles its transcription, wetting and washing with one quick glimpse a language invented faster than lips can be read, whose constant rearrangement never changes words I skim into my shallow disturbance. Forgiveness. If only my clay sinews holding stripped earth to bony bedrock could again grow arms and comfort you, that my flesh might sprout love even from the cracks in my concrete hands and blossom golden chanterelles from the adits of my mined wrists. If only eddies shadowing my soft words would remove your poisons from the air you breathe, and my full heart pumping steadily sprinkle purified water over forsaken forget-me-nots. On a recent little road trip, I traveled through the small town where my dad grew up, and I started thinking about all the questions that I had never asked him. And although this is kind of one on the fringe, it sort of deals with a topic I always thought was kind of interesting about my grandpa. And it's called Grandpa's Finger. Where did Grandpa keep that bottle of whiskey, preserving his finger pinched off by a cinched rope? Doubtful it stayed on the front porch with the pickle barrel. Did it rest by his bed, a bellowing confession of the bulls he'd banded? Did it sit in the kitchen by the dulled hatchet Grandma used to chop chicken necks, perhaps adding a little more gristle to her small pot of stew? Did it collect dust on the shelf where other whiskey used to wait? Did it point to the boiling sun before it clouded over with slime that coated the pump-side water trough? Or did the moon of its fingernail set over the woodpile like pig fat cooling in the fry pan? Was it near enough Grandpa's words to be capsized anew? Did it clutch at welts from his belt? Did it point to you, Dad, as if you were to blame? And here's another one sort of dealing with my dad. Mabton Bakery for Dad. After a long day in the fields, dinner stolen by your brothers left a hollow you never called hunger when waiting at the bakery's back door. Even day old, even to the calloused hands of a young boy, how warm that bread must have felt, saved for you by the baker. Dreams of abundance rose every morning through vents breathing darkness to light. 70 years later, medicine had nothing left to give. But bread baking had split palm lines, pastries filled depressions between ribs. So you ate your fill from a box of fritters I bought for you with pocket change. And once you could digest no more, I wondered if you heard my feeble words of thanks for all you had given. I think I probably have time for two more. Okay. So I'll read my soul food poem next. And a couple weeks ago, Peter Ludwin reminded me that today's Beethoven's birthday. And I thought, well, I'd write one in honor of Beethoven's birthday and coffee, and that way it would be just perfect for soul food. There's a couple of quotes that I need to make you aware of first. Beethoven required 60 beans be counted for each cup of coffee. Some of you thought you like your coffee strong. Johann Sebastian Bach said, "Bring me a bowl of coffee before I turn into a goat." And Johannes Brahms said, "Study Bach. There you will find everything." And there's one musical term, espressivo, which is simply Italian for expressively. And incidentally, this poem was written about, well, it was inspired about 2 a.m. after drinking a latte too late in the evening. So you guys are probably familiar with Beethoven's musical setting of Ode to Joy. This is Beethoven's Ode to Joe. So. O muse of darkness, only your seed thickens my blood with fertile earth that illuminates Viennese moons and germinates meadows of tenderness beneath my skin. Only your song stirs new leaves in the lime tree, awakening deaf senses. Trembling before you, my cupped hands overflow with your 60-bean body as I hastily drown the roughness of my voice in your whispers. Your hair, silvered by wisdom, rises like morning steam off the Danube. It curls endlessly around my pen dipped in your well. Without your touch, my perfect fifth would surely be diminished. Fiery muse, would that you flushed my cheeks alone. But I am not your first and will not be your last. I rejoice only in sharing you with Bach, immortal god of harmony, who knew that only you could save him from goathood. And what could he have left us had immortality come to that? If I be followed by a tasteful German, he'll tell us to study Bach while imbibing his own strong brew of you. He'll understand that to play without passion is inexcusable, that there can be no espressivo without espresso, that the quickest remedy is to simply add an IV. And I'll end with city life. Tonight's distant train whistle need not remind me I am alone. I hear rain's millions of toes scurry toward me over the leaf-strewn lawn, over sirens racing across wet pavement toward one veined petal slipped between the delicate pages of chrysanthemums in their fresh beds. Every hour calls someone to their faith. When Canterbury bells fade for the season and I fall as the tears of a few upon these freed leaves, Let me listen to the dew and breathe its light from the mouth of that singing sparrow. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Brendan and Lisa. We're going to take a quick break, and I'd like you to chat up the poets, shop the store, get some beverages, and we'll be back in a few. Let's go into the break with some more applause for Lisa and Brendan.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're now ready to start our second half. I'm so glad we have a good turnout tonight because we also have a full list of readers, and I'm looking forward to what everyone has to say. And in case any of you don't know who I am, I'm Michael Dillon Welch, and with Lana we run the series here. And unfortunately I wasn't able to be here for the first half or most of it. My wife had LASIK surgery today, and I got to put the kids to bed while she relaxed. So that's my excuse. I'm sorry to have missed the first part. Our first reader who signed up for the open mic is Alina Hakim, and our question for this month's reading is one gift you wish for, which is in the spirit of the holidays. And Alina says, to work for an architectural firm in Spain. And gee, I'd like that too. Alina Hakim.
Hello, everybody. It's been an honor, and this is my second time here. I'm very excited to perform. Thank you. All right. So here we go. I have 3 poems that I'm going to recite tonight, or I guess do a mix of both. Let's see. This one was written the 4th of July, actually. It's called Love Infection. 4th of July, such a day filled with surprises. Expected work to be slow, not a soul to be seen eating on such occasion, when actually people came rushing by the hour. Its strong effect on time rushes the minutes until sour on the tongue. The sour taste of having to close while holding the anticipation of watching fireworks, of being with the people you love and adore. Of all things that happened today, your voice on the phone is what I cannot explain. The hidden feelings it gave. An initial reaction was made while my heart made leaps in accordance with my brain. My thoughts were tossed in the frying pan until cooked raw, left to burn and smolter for a reaction of Newton's law. How could words alone paint a picture of my emotions? The sound of missing you describes a type of silence that was shared on that phone call. My ears gave way to what was profound, the sound of your voice, the sound of your smile, the sound of the pain we both shared in solely seeing rain. As the other is missed, the seconds count the heartbeats for our fear we are now slaves to. My fear came true today after I heard your voice. Unsure of how to function, my biggest concern is to remain composed. After the click is made, we became disconnected, the end of a phone call that spelled out love infection. Yeah. Okay. This one I wrote last month on the 3rd, and it kind of relates to my last poem, so I thought it'd make more sense to read it. It's called Vaccination. The open book labeled Getting Things Done is the Band-Aid for the brain dead, and I'm one of them. Corrupted files of unfinished portfolios, wimpy, my professor professed, so I left discouraged and misled. Unfinished paintings with their envisioned compositions in memory, backed up RAM in the file labeled Not Done, all caps for the brain dead. List of goals to attain with due dates to cap off procrastinating. My lover I'm consumed in. We met long ago. Love at first sight, he likes to describe it. I run away and avoid and keep track of actions and feel the talk of enacted. But he stalks my thoughts, the positive process my thinking cap wears tightly. Leave it for tomorrow, another day to push back. Feel contempt with lavish leisure and leave priorities to your lover's default match. The remainders remain, and reminders like calendars and post-its fail to remind my brain. Overwhelmed by lack of function, last-minute planning, diets of Red Bulls and rock stars, liquid courage for my mornings. Last-minute surprises hide to make me think I'm past the roll-winded high tide despite him. Wrongo, just as the Grinch said. Not again. Epic fail. Landed back 2 spaces. Don't pass the go. Don't collect $200. Procrastination kills, leaves me bankrupt, and still I'm your lover. Not anymore. No more rendezvous, no leisure time, or minimize button for a quick meal ticket. To live is survival of the fittest. I am to conquer and control this brain's roadmap using manual controls. That's why you find me in the self-help section at the university bookstore and getting things done cried out, Band-Aid for the brain dead, and I'm sold. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
I guess we have 3 to 4 minutes to poet. And one gift I wish for, I've been thinking about this all day, and I think what I wish for is my brother died in May, is to mourn my brother less and to celebrate him more. So that's my wish. Our next reader is Maggie Milstein, and she wishes for a hedgehog.
Hi, oh my God. I'm Maggie, I'm from California. I just got here today. Thanks. This poem is called Extipacy, which is actually an ancient Western practice where priests would try to, predict the future by reading the entrails of animals. And what influenced this poem was a famous political commentator said this: "The hour is getting very late to be able to indulge in having key decisions made by religious people, by irrationalists, by those who would steer the ship of state not with a compass, but by the equivalent of reading the entrails of a chicken." And all my poetry takes place in the California desert. Extipacy. They hit a coyote on Old Highway 395. We stopped to look and read its entrails, like the ancient Romans, but with messianic expectation. A bloom of pink and a tire track. We know spring's near. The next poem is called 2008. It's the year the economy fell, if you weren't familiar. The poem's kind of disgusting, so I apologize in advance. This is the finalist for the Californian Collegiate Poet Laureate contest. It is my poem selection from San Diego. 2008. We are seasonal workers, the salt of the earth that has lost its taste and is trampled underfoot in a desert where the cities lay low. Our black bread on Wall Street to be split into shares and returned 5,000-fold if we only believe. With millstones around our necks and gospel in our hearts, anglers with hand-tied flies, chewing sardines on bread ends, and it reeks like a horror infected with yeast.
Thank you for coming all the way from San Diego. This is something my daughter said. Daddy, she's 4, by the way. Daddy, why do you need to rotate the tires? Don't they rotate all the time?
That's a good one.
So our next reader wishes for peace, which is an excellent thing to wish for, and it's another Maggie. Maggie Carrito, am I saying that right? Maggie Carrito.
Funny thing is, I'm another Maggie from California, too, so we have that in common. Huntington Beach, though, not San Diego. Nice. Very nice. First time here? Thank you, thank you. Special night to me, kind of a sad night, too. My old comrade, who was the first person who ever pushed me up in front of a microphone back in Huntington Beach with my poetry, passed away over the summer, and today's his birthday, so these 2 poems are for in the memory of Uncle Rob, though they're about someone else. So. Breathe with me. Each time we meet, I fear it will be the last. Each instance savored sweet as I cling to the moment, we two combined. I glimpse a visage in the sky whose eyes gleam a perfect cerulean, such beauty as you lay awash in morning, a faint smile set on slumbering lips. We breathe in unison. And the next one I actually just finished today, so it's kind of a rough. I dreamt of you last night for the first time in months. Funny how you still invade my thoughts so frequently. We were in Paris. The sun slipped through cream-colored curtains, bathing you, sleeping peaceful in 100 variants of ochre. I lay tucked in the crook of your arm and admired how the years had set in your face, refining your already perfect architecture. A gentle dusting of gray had settled in your beard, your crow's feet more pronounced, your eyes ever so slightly a lighter shade of blue, and that occasional laugh line now a permanent fixture on your right cheek. Your eyes fluttered open in that half-awake but mostly not way I've seen countless times before. You sighed and repositioned yourself, pulling me closer to you. I could hear your heartbeat, slow, rhythmic, soothing, and I felt eternity in your arms. In that early Parisian morning, I felt complete, a lifetime of isolation erased by your warm breath on my forehead as I drifted back to sleep. When I awoke, you were gone. Paris was a Sheraton in the Midwest, somewhere near nowhere. I smelled not the scent of you, but the cheap, sterile stench of quick-acting disinfectant in the whiskey I'd spilled the night before. The warmth of your embrace was replaced by the cruel vengeance of a broken air conditioner and scratchy sheets. The peace of your company replaced by the emptiness of waking alone. In that room, surrounded by generic hotel furnishings and micro-sized shampoos, I realized there would be no Parisian sunrise, no half-asleep gazes, no cream-colored curtains, just chintzy blinds that barely kept the dark in, and a do not disturb sign that had seen better days. There, one slim boarding pass away from what I call home, I stuffed dirty socks into my carry-on, and I cried for you.
Thank you. Nice to have some California poets tonight. Who knew? Next up, we have someone who wishes for happiness for everyone. Please welcome Sarah Jones.
Okay, this is my first time reading, so I'm kind of nervous. Okay, so this is called Cleansed, and I just wrote it. That's why it's on a napkin. Okay. Dirty fingernails, gripping tightly, the last remnants of the ocean. Her hair, the sea foam, a whisper in a cracked bottle. Shattered, the last day she sat there, sand puddling in her shoes. Fuck these. She threw them off, into the water. The last two tangible pieces of her, lost forever. Now I have one more that I wrote on a napkin. Okay. This one is called Obsession. The dock was covered in broken glass and graffiti, glitter and madness strewn everywhere. Her eyelids were closed, palms facing up, as if awaiting gifts or God or another hand to hold. Her lips were chalk blue. He stood above her, ashes from his cigarette falling upon her porcelain skin like confetti for the dead. Okay, that's it.
Please come back. Another thing my daughter said. Daddy, the only blowing up that people should do is of balloons. Next, we have another person who wants peace on earth. Gerald McBreen. Please welcome Gerald.
I just want to say one thing to this young lady over here. I hope she never runs out of napkins. I'd rather have two tails. Whoever said two heads are better than one obviously never had two heads. My sister and I are speculum image of each other. That is where the similarities end. Oh, we have the same body, all right, 4 hoofs and all that. She goes left, I go right. Don't get anywhere fast. She can spend hours admiring herself in the pond. I'd rather be frolicking, chasing butterflies. She sleeps a lot too. It's really difficult getting any place carrying a sleepy head. At feed time, I watch my figure and have to remind sister her gluttony puts weight on my gut too. Of course, there are worse things. Like, we have only one tail. When I want it, she has a headache.
And next up, a man who wishes for a trip to Central Asia. Please welcome Peter Ledwin.
Well, I do want to go to Central Asia, but what I really want is to live in a place like Lana's. Lisa alluded a little earlier to this incident in 1887 in Hell's Canyon when over 30 Chinese gold miners were massacred by a gang of horse thieves. And it's a project that's rather consumed me this fall. And I wound up writing 18 poems about it. And this is the last one I wrote. It's in the voice of one of the miners. His name is Chi Po. And there are a couple of words here I probably should define. One is guailo, which was the Cantonese Chinese term for Caucasians, and the word bateau, which is a flat bottom boat. It's called Far from Punyu. Jipo and his fellow miners congregate before the storm, 1887. Last night, after we passed the opium pipe, a ragged moon splintered the surface of the creek. Rocks howled when the river carried Ah Yao away. It must have been the drug, because this morning he works beside me. We smoke to dull the ache from our labor, but perhaps the gods are sending a message. Have we been too long in this canyon, this land itself? Of our women we hear nothing, and home, our cultured pearl, seems but a fragment, a fossil bone that tells a distant story. This is where the winds have driven us, first from famine in Guangzhou, then from Guilo railroad camps. Better to sift these waters for gold than scrub a town's washhouse laundry. And rumors gathered like flies to a carcass have followed our bateaus upriver. Violence from smoke and gun. The cooking fire bears the aroma of burnt meat. The spider dangles from its thread. Why, when I gaze at the night sky, do the stars tumble from their cage? And this poem is called Awakening. I first truly fell in love with the world when the Lone Ranger rode into my life. So square, he was cool. Though not, I learned later, as cool as Tonto, who wore buckskin and melted into the background like a snow hare. He galloped over the dusty west in clothes devoid of stain, the errant smudge. How did he do that? I was 7 and mystery set its hook. What drove the sweet pea stake to its frame to snake far from its given course, or caused the gladiolus to poke the surface from below? No matter how hard I focused, I could never suspend time's wheel, never freeze a motion infinitesimally slow, which I knew would place me at the beginning before it even began, sever the rusty chain. And how to fathom a neighbor girl twice my age who danced in tight circles around her cluttered room, while light that would have struck Rembrandt dumb laved amber thighs. The torrent that made me cling to them from my hiding place outside her window, a shipwrecked sailor grasping a shattered spar. Oh, it was all here in the lush, fecund hive, the sultry bloom of the inexplicable I inhaled as readily as the salt wind sanding my cheeks. All here, yet veiled, and in that paradox lay the spider's thread being spun, weave and cross-weave, each segment a road, a port of call, a gangplank choked with cargo and crew from which a boat was always leaving.
Thank you, Peter. My quotable daughter. Daddy, if they don't do bad things, why do football players have timeouts? Last month, I published this new book. It's called 57 Damn Good Haiku by a bunch of our friends. And I have copies available here if you can't resist them. And I co-edited it with Alan Summers, who lives in England, and we each chose 6 people, and it includes a haiku poet from, boy, I'm suddenly going blank on which country he's from. Uganda? Uganda. He's somewhere in Africa. Kenya? Okay, sorry. Kenya, and a poet from Japan, and other poets from elsewhere, England and British Columbia, and also including our next reader, who is Tanya MacDonald. So she's in this book. And Tanya says that the thing she wishes for is enough snow to sculpt a snow chicken. Tanya MacDonald.
And it has to be the right kind of snow, because the snow we had before Thanksgiving was all light and powdery, and my snow chicken kind of looked like this, which is not good. You can't identify those as chickens. Anyway, some holiday haiku. You may have heard a few of these before. I apologize. New snow. The semaphore flash of Junco tales. Fake poinsettias in the waiting room. The receptionists smile. Poised to slide down the chimney. Full moon. Christmas Eve. I tried to forget I saw the receipt. Christmas morning. The tree lot. Unattended. Fresh gingerbread. I reread my sister's coming out letter. Newlyweds. We leave the mistletoe up a little longer. Thank you.
Okay. Next up, we're going to go. I think we have her. Next up, we have Nashira. Are you ready for us, Nashira? Nashira, her one gift that she really wishes for is to spend be in Paris this winter in a really good hotel. Woo! Welcome, Nashira.
I'm going to read one thing. I don't think it could be considered short exactly. I didn't want to say something to Lisa. I wanted to say to you, the turn of that and tell them, I am DUII, driving under the influence of imagination. Okay. That rush trip to the loo kind of got me out of breath there. Okay. Thank you. Bees versus Godzilla Smarty Pants. What seems to bees the problem? Without honeybees, what'll we do for lunch? Without bees, honey, what's the haps, honey bunch? With all the pollinators wiped out by the haters, it just might be too late. With no honeybees out to hunt the nectar, without honeybees on each and every hectare, without the dancing buzzers wiped out by gas guzzlers, still life or plush puzzlers could be all we ate. Without what seems to be the problem, buzzing, humming, dancing outtake, without complete signal system, instinctive wiggling rhythm, notorious human schism, honeybees' stratified mechanism, destiny or due date. Without honeybees' wisdom, honeycomb desiccated, sear, without pull, calculated colony compass, no distinguishing there from here. Workers, drones, queen even, disruption of all that's clear. Without honeybees, what'll we do for lunch? Without bees, honey, zzz of honeybee brunch. Without the age-old radius, Hades could await us. Seeds, wings clipped, no corpus, no transference of dust. Without honeybees in concert, fulfilling labor dance. Without busy work attending comb, suddenly lost in air. Bees alone, locating juice, but no way home. Have bees any calculator? We any chance? Without honey bees, workers, drones, hive, not here, not there. The regal queen lacking industry finds herself alone. Pesticides, hell to pay, appalling death. Buzz is cowards, blue dogs, sellouts, man decides. Without honeybees, what'll we do for lunch? Without bees, honey, what's the haps, honey bunch? Decomposed pollinators wiped out by corn calculators. Tally rich, life poor. Leave us honey nuts and comidas crunch. Man should be so industrious. Instead, bees have keepers, overseers, herding, wrangling far and wide, commandeered by human calculus. What's the trouble, deniers? Wags all say. What will they do when comes the day of reckoning? Well, I reckon they'll just say. It would have happened anyway. After millennia of things done this way, been responsible for having lost their way. Let's do lunch at Mario Batali. Only meat, corn, soybean, miracles served. Nature our shoe leather, throne our stinking curve. Man should be so industrious, privy to instinctive signal systems dance, caught up in profit, tearing nil, slake, challenges eschew Earth's millennium romance. What'll we do for lunch? Tidy today. What? The corned beef producers trance. What'll we do now bees are dead? What'll this world do instead? Cancers, AIDS, colony collapse disease, CCDs, PCBs, blueprint of extinction, wage of sages, prices paid, uncivilization turns the final fluttering, buzz-free, tattered, torn, flecked with blood page.
Thank you, Nashira. Next month here at SoulFood on January 20, we are going to have two spectacular featured readers, Karen Finney-Frock and Matt Gano. And if you've not heard any of them read, either of them read before, they put on a tremendous show, spoken word, performance, etc., but definitely with a literary aspect as well as the performance. So please make sure you come back for that, January 20, our next reading. Yes, 2011 already. My daughter, Sarah, says that ostriches come from a place called Australia. Our next reader wishes to travel. Corinne Allen.
Hello. This first one is called Clay Pigeons. I wrote it back in June. It's kind of about, service industry jobs and trying to make it work for you. Sometimes I get down. I'm a little light on marrow. Sometimes he gets mad, swearing he'll never come back here again, because our daily bread comes at so high a cost. We wonder why we bother, remind us why we care. I try to remember who and what came first. However way we come and go, we just play games and buy time. I try to shake my head to keep the dust out of my eyes. Sometimes I get confused and pretend I'm strong enough. Sometimes she slips and falls, swearing she'll never step there again. Things we never saw in our future when we still had dreams in our eyes. We try to keep the dreams close by to remind us why we try. To face the tyrants who would hammer and chisel our brains and bodies apart. Lovers and friends, we will never be what they want. My sculpted, crooked body crumbles out from the mold. I'm mediocre in this field of mediocrity, and I can't breathe in pressurized chambers. We could all break free, but sometimes I fall down, cushioned by asphalt and steel. Sometimes he falls too, and lands somewhere near me. We swear we'll never come back here, because it all takes so much. They're greedy in every way. Please, remind us why we care. We wonder why we try it all. Because one by one, we go down, drop to the ground, and the world says, welcome back, leering at and mocking those who think they can fly. Icarus got off lucky. This next poem is kind of mushy. Yeah? Oh my God, that was a difference. All right, this next poem's kind of mushy, so sorry. It was written back in May. Cobwebs in my peripherals, like scratch marks on glass. It tells how tired I am, how I'd rather crawl back to bed with you. I used to dream of us sleeping. Now we are awake, aware of this us, alert to the spiritual connectivity that means hope, life, and light. That's where you take me, lover. That's where we are safest from cold eyes and doubts. Who would ever take that away? Who could possibly change our love, create a secret heart that would sever our chests into two? No one, lover. I couldn't be without you. Couldn't fathom the future we'll create out of our breath and bodies without you. I don't think I could ever truly describe with words how you make me feel. If I breathe relieved sighs into your mouth, will you know the same peace? If I spoon-fed you the jewels from my mind, would you have the same dreams? And if I scream aloud my excitement, would you feel it under your skin? The passion in my bones is too much to keep alone. Share it with me, feel the tightness in my throat as my voice hitches, changes pitch, and cries out your name. You can taste it on my lips, feel it in the fingers that turn white as they grip that same goose feather down. Galapagos, I'm sure it's nice, but we'll go farther than that, a paradise more true, more like your skin, your scent, your touch. Heaven is here, paradise within. Milton knows nothing because he never knew us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have David Simmons, whose one gift he wishes for is breakfast, lunch, and dinner for everyone all winter. Welcome, David.
Okay. I haven't been here for a long time, like literally like 5 months, I think. But I have two pieces, and to do a little bit of self-promotion, I have a new blog spot. It's at lagabrio.wordpress.com, and you could find these in probably like 15 other things there. This one's called Ache. So it's a poem. If I could take out my eyes, then pluck my hair, unfasten my skull and remove it, empty its contents like mud with my hands, then remove my hands, loosen my feet, flick away my kneecaps like helicopter leaves, unwrap my muscles and tendons from my bones, and yank out all the vessels and arteries. If I could free the organs from their cage like so many incongruent birds imprisoned together, then unlock each bone from the next, clean them, polish them, return them to the sea, I think I might feel all right. And if on Sunday, walking as open as breath along the shore, it had all washed in, I suppose I would collect it and wrap, click, fasten, and suction myself back up again, jog a good 10 miles on refreshed feet, eat, then lay it all down in cotton sheets till Monday. Thank you. I was kind of sadder when I wrote it than when I was reading it, so it's kind of hard to get into that one. It's hard to read. This is called 9 Hypotheses of Cat. I had read this big, my cousin gave me this book and of like sayings in Spanish. And it was like this philosopher kind of guy from Argentina, like early in the 1900s or something. And I think I was kind of thinking in that mode a little bit. It's kind of like 9 sayings or comments on things. There are entire theories filled with happiness. The problem with the world is that we keep paying attention to the first 100 meters of everything, but everything and everyone I've ever known is at least 12 miles. Writing is at least one occupation in which you're constantly responsible for what does not belong to you. I need some activity that lasts me until this sunset hour to invigorate, this sunset, to invigorate that quiet, unmoving hour, eye level with God and light. In Spanish, they say it gives him pain. All they mean is they are timid. If what God said were more vigorous, more athletic, more muscular, then my strength would know how to listen to it. Now, only my weakness does, and my weakness is hardly capable of anything. We need trees here. If there are no trees here, no one will dance. It's not that we disagree with you being angry. We just didn't know that you knew how and why you never showed us before. 9. You would think that between all the generations, we would manage to set each other straight, find a way somehow to justify and make each other better. Instead, we stand entirely unconvinced of each other. Okay. Thank you.
I said, the car made a funny noise. Sarah said, why aren't you laughing? Our next reader has left his wish blank. Maybe he wishes for nothing. And maybe that's a good place to be, to have no attachments. Roy Kienholz, did I say this right?
I wrote my first poem about 59 years ago. I wrote it to my mother when I was 25 years old. I'm not going to repeat that poem, but I want to stay with the theme of the year. I call this If Only. The heavens were bright on that wonderful night when a new star was born, one ever so bright, to shine on the manger where lay the Christ child, where Jesus had come as he promised he would, to help fill the plan of our Father above, that we here on earth might win a reprieve, if only we would believe. Yes, the birth of sweet Jesus, who to us means so much. He came as an infant, the same as we did, filled full of God's love to share with us all. He came to redeem us, to ransom us all, if we would but follow the clarion call, if only if only we would believe. Yet we of ourselves must do our own part and help one another with a full open heart. For that is the way that it was meant to be, for open the gate into eternity. But the day cometh quickly and then passeth on. So let us remember the promises made, if only we would believe. Yes, he gave us his gospel, 'twas free to us all, to love one another as he has loved us, to lift up the fallen and strengthen the weak, to share with each other his gospel so sweet. The promise he made that he would return, to take us to heaven, the place we all yearn, to be with him always and with those we do love, if only we would believe. This next one is the true spirit of Christmas. Christmas time, oh Christmas time, a time of joy and wonder, a time filled full of memories, a time to stop and ponder, a time to think of loved ones and join as one in thought, remembering the Christ child, the Savior of our lot, who showed us by the path he trod, the way to peace and love, and set the course for us to go, prescribed by God above. But Christmas time is oh so short, the night is drawing nigh, the shadows of our memories fast fade from out our eye. So rejoice the birth this special day, but think upon his life, and emulate the path he shared, forever day by day. Yes, rejoice the birth this special day, but think upon his life, and emulate the path he shared, forever day by day.
Thank you, Roy. Our next reader also left her wish blank. I'm afraid of a gift she wished for this Christmas was for me to pronounce her name correctly. It wouldn't be granted. Sorry, I'm so bad at this. It's my special talent to mispronounce names. You guys know that. Please welcome Christine Iredale. Next time, maybe.
What I wish for is another tattoo, so I don't think that gets any more attached than that. My first poem is about me talking to an interpreter when I was deployed to Iraq, and the title is Lucky. And the first part is things that he said to me, and then the other part is things that I was thinking inside my head when he was speaking to me. Miss, will you marry me? He says as he goes down on one knee. Wow, most guys don't even have the nerve to ask me out, let alone ask to be with me for the rest of their life. Cam Edwards told me we are the same age. Probably, you're standing a little too close for comfort. You have beautiful blue eyes. Yeah, I get them from my father. You can give me your father's email address so we can settle on the dowry. No, my father is not giving his little girl away to you. You can come live with me. I'll take care of you. I would be killed if I went to live with you. I'll pay him $1,500, 2 goats and a camel. That's not even what I make in 2 weeks. You should feel lucky. Most women don't go for anything at all. And this second poem is about my grandpa. He just celebrated with my grandma their 48th wedding anniversary yesterday. Together they had 6 kids and 10 grandchildren. The title is Whiskers. My small hands would trace the lines in his face to make sure he shaved his whiskers. He'd pick up his mug and drain it, the toothpick still wobbling in his mouth. He hands it to me, says, "Have Grandma fill this back up." She knows what he wants when I hand her the empty mug. More coffee with cream, no sugar, the way I take my coffee now. I'm careful not to spill, his eyes gray give thanks. He never says much, often replies with okie dokie and yeah, sure, you betcha. Reading the morning paper, wearing the glasses he cannot see without, crisp, clean shirts, jeans, and cowboy boots. I ask him if he knows how to tie shoes, disappointed to find out he does when I don't. He looks taller sitting than standing. not a gray hair out of place. On rainy days, he reads to me, and on nice days, does chores, vacuums the carpet, fixing the cars, mowing the lawn, and chopping firewood like he did back in his logging days. He drives a big diesel truck hauling propane, so I know to be quiet when he's sleeping. I'd snuggle close for warmth, drench my skin in a scent, Old Spice and orange sandalwood soap. Weathered tan-hide skin to fish belly white. We eat the food Grandpa catches, fish, clams, crab, and venison. To this day, this kind of food is still my favorite. We go for walks on the waterfront, in the forest, or sometimes just around the neighborhood. He likes to show me off to strangers. I'm shy and hide behind his pant leg. He thinks it's sweet that one time I cried because he'd had enough coffee when all I wanted was to give him more. So sometimes I wish I was still caressing his face in search for whiskers.
Thank you. Sarah tells me that a ship called the Titanic was unthinkable. Our next reader, the gift that he wishes for is a lifetime supply of cigars. I hope I say this right. Is it Alan Cousin? Alan Cousin. Welcome, Alan.
To provide some geographical balance to our Californians, I'm from Malden, Massachusetts. And it's my first time at this or any other mic to do this. I have two things that I'll read for you this evening. It's the Christmas season, so this is a bit out of season, but since Christmas points toward Good Friday and Easter, I'll read you Easter morning. He made his grave with the rich in his death, but not for long. His father made of him a whole new man, a man nobody knew nor thought to see, inspired him, compelled him, delivered him to death, and glorified a new man with his name, and we complain. Small wonder then that from his mouth has come this stark imperative: to take my name, you must each day deny yourself and follow me. That's Easter morning. The second piece that I have for you is called Though Reason Flee. Stretched on the sofa, you read a story from a book I've newly bought. Do you want to borrow that, I ask, laying aside a paper and watching you? No, you say, just reading one story. Reading together, watching each other. We might be a couple together for life, who treasure each minute while craving the next. Instead, you're leaving. You want something else. A few more minutes to treasure. Then, together, if ever, only in loneliness. Outdoors, the sun shines, setting on the leaves, a powder blue sky beckoning joy, enticing only grief. Sunlight and lilacs, but lately noted, dulled to a blank and joyless pallor. All life, but lately wakened, become an empty, flattened, broiling waste, or small, sealed, and blackened room. You finish reading. You put down the book and ask, what are you thinking? How can I answer you? How can I tell you? You are the light of my world, though darkness cover me. The reason for being, though reason flee.
Thank you, Alan. Okay, if I'm reading this correctly, our next reader, the one gift he wishes for is Death of the Monsterine. Please welcome Jeff Lair.
I don't know what that means either. I didn't know what this meant when I heard it. This is like an overheard transaction between two people. It's called La Flaca, which I understand in Spanish means skinny chick. La Flaca, in a mannequin suit on high enfeeblement heels, digs designer nails deep in her painted backdoor man in black foot-long Ozark goatee, tattooed sleeves and buttoned cuffs, says, "You don't know from bright bulbs and sharp tools, just get me past level yellow now." And then he goes off about a homeland backstreet deal sealed in switchblade blood on the tracks down the arms of Jesus, Mary, and T-Rex on the methadone dole, drinking down free crap coffee and McCounseling nuggets for the fear and loathing consequences of truth or dare games people play. Kiss and tell, bang, bang, you're dead. Kick the can, then kick the bucket. Fucking body gotta do what a body gotta do. But she ain't having none of it. Come on, she said. And he did. Then, just for nostalgia, right? This goes back to 2007. Maybe some of you can even remember this. Barack Obama made me cry. It's the kind of thing that can cost you your membership in the Cynics Club. But this isn't the confession of a tough guy. Most movies make me cry at least a little. My eyes mist up more as I get older. Death closer, the irony sharper. I thought I was through crying for America, though, that first love of mine. Her sadistic dominatrix lifestyle notwithstanding, I still miss her sometimes. Imagine we could reconcile if she promised to change, but I stopped pining a long time ago. Then I heard it across the continent, Obama and South Carolina chanting, "Yes, we can." She looked so wholesome then. My estranged beloved reminded me of our former trust, our shared dreams, the generosity and compassion that guided us once. Those forgotten virtues glittered like jewels in her cleavage that night, and I wanted her again. How I cried for her, for our loss, for a time I even forgot about. Her Guantanamo spike heels ground into my eyes. Her shrill and ceaseless accusations screamed in my ears. The welts of her lash that still scar my back. My humiliation over unspeakable alliances made to feed her genocidal habits. How the wake of oily lies that follows her overflows with the dead she denies. Yes, we can. It was like music. God help me, I love her still, would take her back. Then I saw her a couple days later at Bush's Rape of the Union address. Legs in the air, on a bed of bleached bones, pulling the train for the mob again. Yes, we can. Can we? Really? I'm not turning in my Cynics card just yet, but Barack Obama makes me think about it. Thank you.
My son also says crazy things sometimes, but in the last month, it's just been my daughter that does it, so here's another one. Daddy, when you're driving the car at night, you should turn on the headlights. Okay. Our next reader is like Cher, goes by one name, Jeff, and he did not list anything that he wishes as a gift. So perhaps he can tell us. Jeff? Is that you? Okay. Jeff.
I don't have any written material, but we're looking at the audience out here, and I'm thinking there might be maybe a couple smokers from the past. Can't hear you. My name is Jeffrey, and I'm looking at the audience out there, and I think there might be maybe a couple of smokers from the past. You don't have to raise your hands. This is not my poetry. This is by a guy named Shel Silverstein. And it's called The Smoke Off. And it goes like, well, it actually used to go by a little music. Shel Silverstein is a musician, poet, singer-songwriter, but it goes like this. In the laid-back California town of sunny San Rafael lived a girl named Pearly Sweetcakes. You probably know her well. She been smoking dope since time began, and her stories are widely told how that chick could smoke 'em faster than anyone can roll. Well, her legend finally reached New York, that Grove Street walk-up flat where dwelt the Calistoga Kid, a beatnik from the past. And he'd been rolling dope since time began, and he took a cultured toke and said, shit, I could roll 'em faster than any chicken smoke. So a note gets sent to San Rafael for the championship of the world. The kid demands a smoke off. Well, bring him on, screams Pearl. I'll grind his fingers off his hands. He'll roll until he drops, says Calistoga. I'll smoke that chick till she blows up and pops. So they rent out Yankee Stadium, and the word is quickly spread. Come one, come all, who work or crawl. Tickets, just 2 lids per head. And from every town and hamlet across land and sea they'd speed, the world's greatest smokers with the world's greatest weed. Hashish heads from Morocco, hemp smokers from Peru, and the Shawshniks from Bagoon who smoked the deadly Poogaroo, and those who called it the leaf of life and those who call it boo. See the dealers and their ladies wearing turquoise lace and leather. See the narcos on hot see the dealers and their ladies wearing turquoise lacy and lace. See the narcos and the closet smokers puffing all together. From the dealers who smoke legal to the ones who done some time to the old man who smoked legal back before it was the time. And soon the ground old house that Ruth built was filled with the screams and cries of 50,000 screaming heads, all stoned out of their minds. And at a table piled up high with grass, as high as a mountain peak, were the tops and buds of the rarest flowers. Not one stem, branch, or seed. There was Maui Wowie, Panama Red, Acapulco Gold, Keef from East Afghanistan, and that rare Alaska cold. There was sticks from Thailand, strains from the island, and Bangkok's bloomin' best. And some of that wet imported shit that capsized off Key West. There was Mohawken tops and Kenny Bang and some of those rare ever floors and some of that rare New York stuff that grew down in New York sewers, and there was bubbling ice cold lemonade and sweet grapes by the bunches and Hershey bars and Oreos in case anybody got the munchies. And the Calisto kid, he smiled and, well, Pearlie, she just grinned, and the drum rolled low and the crowd yelled go, and the world's first smoke off began. Well, the kid, he flicked his fingers once and that joint was rolled. Pearlie smoked one hit with her famous lungs and that roach was cold. So he rolled a super bomb that would paralyze a moose, and Pearlie took one more hit and that bomb was defused. So he rolled 3 in just 10 seconds, and she smoked him up in 9, and everybody sat back and said, hey, this just might take some time. See the blur of flying fingers. See the red coals burn bright as darkness turned to morning, and morning turned to night, and autumn turned to summer, and a whole damn year was gone. And those two still sat on that smoke-filled stage, smoking and rolling on. With trembling hands, he rolled his J's with fingers blue and stiff. She coughed and stared through bloodshot gaze, and puffed through blistered lips. And as she reached out her hand for another stick of gold, the kitty gasped and said, "Damn it, there's nothing left to roll." "Nothing left to roll," screamed Pearl. "Is this some twisted joke? I didn't come here to fuck around. Man, I came here to smoke." And she reached out her hand and grabbed his bony sleeves and crumbled his body like dry and brittle leaves, flicking out his teeth and bones like useless stems and seeds. And she rolled him in a zigzag and lit him like a roach. And the fastest man with the fastest hands went up in a puff of smoke. In the laid-back California town of sunny San Rafael lives a girl named Pearly Sweetcakes. You probably know her well. She'd been stoned 21 of her 24 years, and her story still widely told. How she still can roll 'em or smoke 'em faster than anyone can roll, and I think I might have smoked too much, but off in New York City, on a street that has no name, are the hands of the Calistoga Kid in the Viper Hall of Fame. And underneath his fingers, there's a little golden scroll that says, "Beware of being the roller when there's nothing left to roll."
Okay. That is a Shel Silverstein that's new to me. Thank you, Jeff. And our wonderful barista, do you have a gift you wish for? Please come up to the mic. Welcome, Taylor.
I guess the gift I wish for everybody and myself is sweet dreams tonight. I found this pirate poem online, and I got two found poems, unfortunately, none of my own. But I caught a rhythm to this one. I'm going to sing it to you instead of read it. So, this one's titled A Pirate Wind. The autumn wind's a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His skin is weather-beaten, he wears a yellow sash, with a handkerchief red about his head and a bristling black mustache. He laughs as he storms the country, a loud laugh and a bold, and the trees all quake and shiver and shake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind's a pirate, pillaging just for fun. He'll snatch your hat as quick as that and laugh to see you run. All right. And then Cameron brought this poem to my attention, and I liked the way it sounded coming from my mouth, so here we go. It's titled If by Rudyard Kipling. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or be lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give away to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster, then treat those two impostors just the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap of fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, and if all men count with you, but none too much. If you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Taylor. One more quotation. My daughter Sarah says that sometimes things are so beautiful you cry. Our next reader is Dawn Marie, and she would one gift she would like to have is another month in the apartment in Paris. Paris seems to be making a lot of people's wish lists this time tonight. Dawn Marie.
Yeah, 3.5 years ago, I spent a month in Paris in a rented studio apartment. It was awesome. I'm going to try and get through this without coughing. This is from the Island Style Slam that Rasp had last week, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago, where you get 3 words and 20 minutes to write a poem. Now, I was the judge, so I just wrote the poem for fun using my own set of words that I had put in the box. And you have to put the 3 words in the poem. You get judged on your performance, the originality of your work, and how creatively you used those 3 words. And for your edification, my words were devil, group mind, and imbibe. At least I didn't put in, what was it, hydrogen jukebox? Disestablishmentarianism. That was anti-disestablishmentarianism. That was amazing. The devil is in the details. They have said, the devil is in idle hands. But if the devil is where the details thrive, the group mind must be Satan personified. Detail full, controversy rich. Each hand not as busy as it could be, so the devil's in the pauses between keystrokes, in those precious few moments between clicking send and getting sent. The devil can steal in, whisper sweet, seductive doubt, cause you to send more words, more explanations, more fuel to the fight, until you fire off a vitriol-filled missive, fanning the flames. The devil whispers more, and you go to the group mind again, post to your blog, update your status, tweet your way to the center of a raging storm of words, which you imbibe like a healing balm, but turns out to be Tabasco sauce and ashes. When all you meant to ask was, should I bring low-fat Cool Whip for the pie or real whipped cream? Thank you.
Our final reader for the evening is none other than Michael Dillon Welch. Please tell us your wish.
My wish is for world peace. world peas. Maybe. So I have a Christmas poem for you, and I'm sorry I don't have a Kwanzaa poem or a Hanukkah poem, so a Christmas poem will have to do. And I can do it either of two ways, either straight or in the voice of Herman the Worm. Okay, okay, all right. This is by Clement Clark Moore. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, with visions of sugar plums dancing their heads. And Mama, in her kerchief and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter nap. When out on the lawn there rose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday to objects below. When what to my wondering eyes stood appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little odd driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles, his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer, now Vixen, on Comet and Cupid and Thunder and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with the sleigh full of toys and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur, with his head, from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had slung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and his beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of the pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a round little belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink in his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, and then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, he gave, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks to all of you readers, all of you listeners, especially our features tonight. Thanks to Lisa and Brendan. Thanks to SoulFood Books. Have a wonderful holiday season. And, well, I'll see you next year. Good night.